What if one could trace a line of destructive acts, not to the heat of a battlefield, but to the chilling decision of a single individual willing to sacrifice their life for a cause? This chilling line is the thread that weaves through the dark tapestry of suicide bombing, a phenomenon that has shaped the course of global history in more ways than one could imagine. In the annals of human conflict, suicide bombing stands out as a brutal means of warfare, a method that combines the calculated and the chaotic. The origins of suicide bombing, as we understand it today, can be traced back to the late 19th century. It was in Russia, amidst the tumult of political unrest, that the first recorded instance of suicide bombing occurred. Members of the revolutionary group, the People's Will, used self-detonation as a tactic to assassinate Tsar Alexander II in 1881. Fast forward to the Second World War, and we find another significant chapter in the history of suicide bombing. This time it was the kamikaze pilots of Japan who turned their fighter planes into flying bombs, aiming them at Allied warships. This marked a strategic shift in the use of suicide bombing. It was not just a tool of political dissidence, but a weapon of war. The late 20th century saw suicide bombing morph into a tool of terror. The Lebanese civil war in the 1980s saw the extensive use of suicide bombers, particularly by the group known as Hezbollah. These attacks were no longer targeted at specific individuals or military targets. Instead, they were aimed at creating maximum fear and disruption. In the 21st century, suicide bombing has become synonymous with religious extremism, particularly Islamic extremism. The attacks on the World Trade Center in 2001, the London bombings in 2005, and countless other incidents around the globe have etched this association into the collective consciousness of the world. In tracing the history of suicide bombing, a few key points stand out. First, the tactic has evolved over time, from a political assassination tool in the late 19th century to a weapon of war in the mid-20th century, and finally to a tool of terror in the late 20th and early 21st century. Second, the use of suicide bombing is not confined to any one region, culture, or religion. It has been employed by a diverse range of groups and individuals, driven by a variety of motivations. Finally, the impact of suicide bombing extends far beyond the immediate devastation of the attack itself. It shapes political landscapes, influences foreign policies, and leaves a lasting psychological impact on societies. In the end, the history of suicide bombing is a sobering testament to the lengths some will go to advance their cause. It is a stark reminder of the power of individual conviction and the devastation it can wreak when paired with a disregard for human life.